Charles, I know you wanted to fight in Vegas forever. Now you've gotten to do it twice, but do you feel like you've been kind of robbed of the actual Vegas fight experience?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, there's no real crowd in attendance, which is one thing. But I mean, I fought a couple times during the pandemic now, so it's gonna be my third fight during all this, and I definitely miss the fans. That's my favorite thing. I think I feed off the fans, obviously being undefeated in Boston. Undefeated with the 3 wins, having the record of most all-time wins at the Boston Garden, passing Conor McGregor, is something I take a lot of pride in. And I think a big part of that, even to come from behind win versus Manny Bermuda is like I really feed off the fans. But it is what it is. I'm used to it now. It's gonna be my third fight during the pandemic, and ready to go Saturday night.
No doubt. You got the win over the summer. Then I think like 8 months to turn around, right? Was that by design? What took so long to get booked again?
Man, I was ready. I told the UFC I was ready right after the win over Kevin Aguilar. I was ready. The only thing I could understand, just talking to my manager, Jason House, I think it was just that I fought back-to-back, and they had a lot of guys to catch up in the UFC. The international, the Abu Dhabi guys. I fought. This is going to be my third fight during the pandemic. Some people haven't even fought yet. So that's something that, I understand. But I did tell the UFC after Kevin Aguilar I was ready to go. I don't know, but I've been in training camp for 6 months for this fight, so I've been ready. I'm always ready for the call on short notice. I'm always ready for the fights. Never turned down a fight with the UFC, so even starting with my first UFC fight versus Dennis Seaver, I took it. I was 9-0 with all first round finishes going into the UFC, and it was my first fight was on against the number 9 guy in the world, Dennis Seaver, in Stockholm, Sweden, and I got a fight of the night bonus, and that was I cut like 33 pounds in 5 days for that, so all this is easy after that.
Yeah. I know you'll take whoever they give you. They give you the name Darrick. He's a veteran of the game, right? But kind of new to the UFC. Did you know him at all? Did you know anything about him?
Yeah, they actually brought his name up about 6 months prior to that for a short notice fight. I accepted. I don't know if they gave him some other options and he didn't take it or what ended up happening. I think one of his opponents fell out. They called me. I accepted it, but I don't know if they gave him like someone else or whatever. But I heard his name before, so I looked him up, and man, I really love the matchup. I mean, the one thing about Darrick is you can say for sure whether, aside from his skills, is that he's entertaining. And this is what it is. We're in the entertainment business. This is the UFC. There's some guys that are in the that aren't in the UFC that are, talented and very good, but you have to be entertaining. Your fight style has to be like that. So I'm aware of that. And that's one thing Darrick is. He's entertaining, and he comes for the kill, and he's a fighter. So I'm excited to get in there and lock doors with him Saturday night.
He's got this incredible track record of submissions, right? I mean, was there, when you look at him on tape, is there anything that he does that's special? I mean, that no matter who you're fighting against, that number of submissions is incredible.
Yeah, for sure. But the one thing I also notice is his submission losses too. So as many submission wins as he has losses. Like, I think he has 8 or 9 submission losses. So that's something obviously I don't have any submission losses. I've never been submitted in my entire career as a mixed martial artist. So I do see in him, though, he has a nasty guillotine. He's won a lot of fights with guillotine. I brought in a special training partner, Gaston Menzor from Chile. My roommate, Jose, introduced me to him. And on a surf trip, he met this kid one time at a jiu-jitsu gym in Chile. And he's like, Charles, he came back from trip. He's like, I got this kid, man. He's like the best jiu-jitsu guy I've ever seen. I'm like, where's he from? He's like, Chile. I'm like, I don't know about that. I'm like, let me see. So he brought him down just for kind of, brought him down to come train with me. And man, even though he speaks no English and I speak very little Spanish, we became best friends, and he's with me for this fight. You're going to see me in my corner, and it's pretty special. And the reason I think he's special for this fight, and I brought him in and flew him in from Chile, is he has the best guillotine I've ever seen in my life. And, I've trained with the best of the best for years after years, in American Top Team. I've been around the world training, black belt in jiu-jitsu, and this guy is the best guillotine I've ever seen. So I'm going against a guy that has an extraordinary guillotine, so we brought in a special training partner to train for that. So I'll be ready for that silver bullet he has.
Nice. Last thing for me, you talked about Darrick being exciting. I think you have that same reputation as well, but I'm curious. I mean, you're seeking your first 2-fight win streak in the UFC, right? So what would you rather take? If you had 2 choices, it's a super boring fight that we never want to see again, but you get the win and you're on that win streak, or it's another fight of the night loss. Which one do you take?
I mean, I'm not taking the L no matter what, but I'll tell you what. All my losses, 3 of my losses are fight of the night bonuses. So you better believe I'm coming to fight, and that's the one thing with me. I'm a fighter, and I come to fight to the death every single time. You guys have watched every single one of my fights. You haven't seen one fight, and you won't see one fight that is not an entertaining fight. You know what I'm saying? So that's the type of fighter I am, and I'm gonna be going for the kill from the beginning to end, and at the end I expect to have my hand raised.
So Charles, You just mentioned it's been a little while since we've had 2 back-to-back wins. Does that ever play on your mind at all, or do you ever feel like, I can't get the momentum going? Does it ever bother you?
Well, what plays through my mind is I have had back-to-back to wins. Just the judges didn't see it that way. So even though I didn't have, on paper the back-to-back wins, like I know the performances I had. Like it's so tough to go back and go through those fights. Like the Dennis Seaver fight was a close fight, very close fight of the night fight. But I took that on 5 days' notice, and short notice fight against the top guy on the planet a little early in my career. I was only training MMA for 5 or 6 years when I took that first fight, and then going back to the AR fight, a fight I thought I won split decision, lost in Mexico, and then against Shane Burgos, I lost by TKO. And I was winning the first 2 rounds, and he dropped me with a good shot. I'm back on my feet, swinging back, and the ref jumps in as I'm in an exchange, a heated exchange on my feet in a UFC fight, swinging back. The ref jumps in the fight, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" Like the second he jumps in, I thought you were hurt. I go, "Well, I'm not. Like I'm winning the fight. What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, sorry." He just looked at me and said, "Sorry." I'm like, "Well, it doesn't. It takes a win off my record, but that is what it is. I don't make excuses. I go in there and fight. I'm going to be ready for this one coming up, and I'm going to look, this is the way the story was supposed to be written. It wasn't supposed to be the way it happened. Those losses are what it is, but I'm just excited to get back in there and get this consecutive win streak going and build on it.
You mentioned this is going to be the 3rd time fighting in the pandemic.
Yep.
It's a bit of a unique experience, right? Is that something that it's almost like starting a fight career by itself? It's like I have to get used to fighting with no fans each time and get a bit better at it.
Yeah, I think, I'm always in the zone. I think the first one was a little different against Bryce Mitchell because, I walked out in, a empty arena that seats 20,000 people, and, you look up and you see, 20,000 empty seats, and it's quiet. And it was a little, definitely, that one stood out to me more. But here, at the Apex, it's a little bit better environment. I think it's more suited for it. And, I'm pretty excited to get back in there and do it again. I'm coming off a win. Here, I'm undefeated at the UFC Apex, so I'm going to continue that win streak too.
You mentioned this has been a 6-month camp for you. How do you get through something like that without getting destroyed?
Yeah, it's smart. It's just being a veteran in the sport now, I know how to train the right way. I have my coaches Roger Crowell, Charles McCarthy, Rami Hamed looking over me, and these are guys that I've went through a lot in my career. They're veteran coaches, so we know how to train the right way now. I'm training with guys that the training's revolved around me instead of doing big group classes where I'm having to go with 4 or 5 roles with consecutive UFC fighters that are 155, 170 pounds fighters. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting to go with guys that are my size. I'm having one-on-one coaching. I'm learning. So it's just being smarter in the game. You got to train smarter, not harder.
Last one for me. What makes something the best guillotine you've ever seen?
What'd you say?
What makes something the best guillotine you've ever seen?
The best guillotine I've ever seen is being able to do it to people that are elite level. Like I've seen, like I said, the kid that obviously you see Darrick Minner's guillotine, and he's hit it up amongst some of the best fighters in the world. He's submitted UFC fighters with it, and even my training partner, I flew down from Chile. I see him submitting guys in the gym that I've never seen submitted with a guillotine. So it's just seeing it in action is what makes it great.